Hey everybody, live and again a later start than I intended. However, oh, how about now? Oh, how about now? Oh, how about now? Oh, how about now? How about now? How about now? Hello, 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 hello. How about now? Hello. Still no sound? Now there's sound. Okay, cool. All right. What happened was that there's a. Let me show you what I did here in the interest of transparency. You see this dealie? All right. Yeah, I was trying to, I heard a echo. And so I thought in order to get rid of the echo, I click on this, right? That's what shut down the sound. And you guys pointed that out here. What happened was I had actually, if you check the history, I had 2 pages. You see that? What I have here is this is the webcam version, but then this is the actual stream. So if I click on this, right, what you'll get is, ta-da. So if I click on this. So you get the same thing, right? See that? Right. See that? Getting dizzy? Woo. Okay, so I get rid of that. All right, and that's what happened. So my apologies, folks. Now to the questions. All right, now Rob Iman. Hey, John Marks, how you doing? I can see you now. I can't see you actually, but anyway, Rob Iman says, "Is it time for the Warriors to shop for a center this offseason?" But who should the Warriors get as center? And what about, let me ask you, would LeBron James have made a difference at this point down the stretch? Let's say, you know, if LeBron James came in somehow and we dumped a few players like Dave West, maybe, for LeBron James, okay? John Marks asks, is Dwight Howard available? Dwight Howard just may be available, but would he, you know, I think, let me put it this way. If the Warriors felt that Dwight Howard can make a difference, they'd have got him by now. If they figured out that that the Warriors scheme combined with his play and style were appropriate, the way they, I'll create a term, algorithmize basketball, I think they would have been able to come up with a scenario and a set of equations that would spell out a Dwight Howard needed. And since they haven't done that, I normally don't give management in any organization that much credit. I always think, hey, that's a good idea. But having watched the Warriors work, I think there's a reason why they don't have a player the caliber of Dwight Howard. And if you look, I mean, I'm going to go off on Dwight Howard too much, but if you look at his history, he's always expected to perform somewhere. The latest example, the Atlanta Hawks, that didn't work out. And then, of course, there was famously the Lakers and the Rockets, right? So how many turns at bat do you need with Casey before you realize that maybe Casey just isn't what you thought Casey was going to be, right? So I hate to say it that way because everybody has that spark. There are people who thought that Dwight Howard coming home to Atlanta would be that spark. It didn't work out that way. Whatever it is with Dwight Howard, he hasn't been in a situation on a basketball team where his full potential has been tapped. And he's just getting older. Not that he can't do it, right? Hey, look, Teal's trying to make a comeback at 44, right? Now, Barry Lee says, yeah, the Warriors have to find a way to win Game 7 in Houston, but how effective will Chris Paul be? Now, you mean Game 6. Winning Game 6 at Oracle is not automatic, okay? I mean, let me repeat that. Winning Game 6 at Oracle on Saturday is not automatic. However, the situation with Chris Paul does make this an entirely different animal of a series because Chris Paul has a hamstring injury. The extent of the injury, the seriousness of it, we don't know. At least we don't know. Someone knows. Well, actually, let me take that back. The hospital doesn't know. They'll announce sometime today. Today is correctly today because it's almost 1 o'clock. For you, it's tomorrow. Sometime Friday. All right. Rob Iman says maybe trade for Enes Kanter. Hey, Albert 106, how are you? Rob Iman then says Kanter is a good scoring sitter and can defend. Corey Brown says I think LeBron would help in crunch time where the Warriors have been coming up short. Rob Iman says maybe try to buy low on Demetrius Cousins. I like that idea. Actually, I do like that idea. But here's my question to the flock of you. Are you saying to me that you're giving the Rockets the series already? Is that what you're saying? I mean, okay, I'm not willing to give the Rockets, I'm not willing to give it up. But no one's talking about Game 6. You're talking about Game 7. Can you imagine Chris Paul injured and on the bench? Can you? Ryan says maybe try to. Barry Lee says hell no Warriors in 7. Yeah, I'm curious. Barry Lee, question you: can you imagine Chris Paul or the Rockets with Chris Paul on the bench in Game 6? That is unimaginable. I mean, the question is: has Chris Paul sat out at any time? Let me see. Chris Paul games played, I think 2018. All right. Chris Paul dealing with hamstring injury. That's what Sporting News is reporting as of 28 minutes ago, something that you probably know if you follow the game. Now, 2017-18 career, he played 58 games. 58 games. Okay? So he played 58 games. He played 58 games, which means, let's see here. See here. That means basically, you want to, figure it out. If you want to figure out, figure it out, right? It said that he played 58 games. 58 games, which means that that's what it says here. Games, 58. Career, 892. And then it gives the points and everything else, right? So if he played 58 games, it basically means he played most of, but not all, the season. So it's not out of the realm. I mean, the Rockets are not going into uncharted territory, let me put it that way, okay? As Albert says, Chris Paul has an history of injuries. And John Marks says that he thinks the Warriors can win the next 2 games. Barry Lee says, yeah, I think he could be benched in order to save him for Game 7, which would be a gimme. But even if they do that, let's see here. Let's say the Rockets do that. Let's say that the Rockets do that. And they bench him, right? So if they do, the question is, and the question becomes, can he get well? Let me put it this way. Will it be a 1-game injury? We don't know, right? We don't know. Will it be a 1-game injury? Next game is Saturday. And then after that Saturday game, after the Saturday game, is at 9 o'clock. All right. You believe there's no. Oh, excuse me. That's right. Yeah. Okay. After the Saturday game, then they go back to Houston to play Monday night. Woo! That's grueling. It's like the league is trying to wear them out, you know? That's what it looks like. It's like, hey, we're gonna wear you out, man. Because they have let's see, yeah, game 7, if needed, is May 28th. That's Monday. Memorial Day. Memorial Day night at 9 o'clock in Houston. So the Warriors would be going in a situation where, for them, the game starts at 9 p.m., but it really starts for them at 7 p.m. The Rockets are going to where it's later. And I thought maybe, no, you can make it. I don't know. That's a flimsy argument. I was about to try to make this weak ass argument that the Rockets would be harmed by going, eastbound for the last game, but I'm not. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And Barry Lee says, I loved it when the Warriors counteracted Houston's 3-point basket late in the fourth with their own 3 points. The one thing the Warriors need to have an answer for, and they haven't, is the Rockets consistently pointing taller people on their best 3-point shooters. That's, for example, you have Ariza occasionally covering Curry, rushing out to the corners, or Gordon. I mean, they've got some trees out there that have manhandled at points Steph Curry and have harassed Klay Thompson. And that's been about it. One thing we can't forget about this series is that Iguodala has been out for now 2 games. 2, okay? With what's called a leg contusion. He shot around. Klay Thompson was also injured, but there was a question whether they're going to hold him out. They didn't. They played him, but they held Iguodala out. I can't imagine Iguodala being held out for a 3rd game, but, because the Warriors really need game 6. For the Warriors, it's do or die. They need game 6. Okay? They need game 6. Are you guys still not getting alerts? Oh, Albert says, I'm finally getting alerts from YouTube. Just letting you know. Thank you. Hey, Albert, did you do anything different? Did you click the bell or something? Thank you for telling me that, I'm sorry that this is happening. Crawford says Dre needs to play. Yeah, Draymond needs to play, but the Warriors bench. In fact, let me take a look at this. The Warriors bench just looked horrible. They really did. And just how horrible did they look? Well, I'm going to tell you in a second. Draymond Green had 12 points. Kevin Durant, 29. He led all scorers. Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry were 29, 23, and 22, respectively. Kevin Looney was 4 points. Sean Livingston was 2 points. And here's where the obvious weakness of the game revealed itself. The Warriors bench didn't do anything. Jordan Bell had 2. David West had nothing. I mean, David West was getting worked by Chris Paul. He put nothing on the board. And it was like, why, as someone says, get him out of there, right? Quinn Cook was 0, and Nick Young, they call Shaggy P, was 0. What they don't have in these stats, they have minutes, rebounds, assists, and points, but they don't have attempts. Nick Young tried a 3 very late in the game. My mom said, why are they getting him to shoot? It should be, my mom was right, it should have been Steph or Klay. Why him? And she had a great point. I mean, he did have an open look at the basket. But at a time when your clutch players should get that open look, right? Now, maybe Kerr felt, well, my collector players aren't getting the open look, so therefore I got to do that, right? So, Rob Ives is swaggy P. Yep. And Albert says, no, you didn't get one. Okay, you didn't. Oh, I see. You didn't make any special ringing of the bell or adjustment to get your notification. Got it. Crawford says they need to play McGee, especially in the rebounding front. Yeah. West, I can't. Rob Iman says Lacob will retool the roster if he has to. Binsman says Green and Tucker. Which Lacob? The owner or the assistant GM? Yeah, his son is actually both of his sons are execs. Sweet. Green Tucker. Yeah. Green and Tucker stepped up for the Rockets. Yep, Warriors role players have to step up. They need Iguodala back. Yeah, Iguodala coming back will make the difference. They got him because he's a defensive specialist. That's why they got him from the Nuggets. That's so I thought, right? Barry Lee says, well, they play Chris Paul, I bet it will be limited in game 6. And John Mark says, will the Warriors offer a contract to Kevin Durant? One thing at a time. Albert 106 says, must be nice. Rob Iman says, Iggy may retire after this season. Yeah, and, maybe go full-time in investing in startups, right? If he does, I'd love to work with him. Yeah, I work for him, Going around the country, meeting startup entrepreneurs and executives, figuring out who has the company or companies worth most to invest in, or most likely, or the one that you would do best in investing in. All right. But I digress. All right. Rob Iman swears Durant will get a contract. I'm just saying, look, let's just keep a minutia. Let's keep a focus, okay? That would be a great partnership. It would. All right. So let's, as much as it pains me, the Rockets had, let's see, Trevor Ariza. The Rockets had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. 7 guys versus the Warriors had, this is embarrassing. Listen to this. The Rockets, they only posted the stats for 7 guys. The Warriors had stats for all their guys that participated. The Rockets basically beat the Warriors with 7 guys. Okay? The Rockets basically beat the Warriors with 7 guys. You hear what I'm saying? I'm going to repeat that. The Rockets basically beat the Warriors with 7 guys. All right? You have doubts of what I'm saying? Take a look at this. Look at this, all right? That's the Warriors, okay? Right? Count the number of people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Click on this, Rockets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. That's got to be a mistake. Maybe not. That's it. Okay. But look at the points. All right. This is a game that the Rockets were lucky to win. You have to, and I have to say this. You have to attribute some of this to the spiritual power of the Lord and in the wake of a tragedy. And I say that because, look, I don't think it was fair to the Warriors to be in a situation where you've got a tragedy is being used to fire up a team. We saw that with the Golden Knights. What happened in October in Las Vegas, right? So the Golden Knights go on this tear. Now we see the Rockets after 2 tragedies, the flood, and then, of course, the shooting. And you've got all the students there from Santa Fe High, and you've got Justin Timberlake and J.J. Watt in the front row. J.J. Watt's cute girlfriend next to him. You look at all that, it's like, ugh. And when you have that human energy just coursing through the building, you're going to get weird plays. You're going to get weird things happening, like Draymond trying to inbound the ball from Steph and then having it slip out of his hand and then bounce off his knee and then get kicked. And he's trying to dive for it. He misses. And on top of that, he winds up fouling a Rocket. I mean, you could not have drawn that up in a movie script. But that's exactly what happened. It was that crazy, okay? Barry Lee, you asked what are Kevin and in terms of points? Let's see here. I'll give you an answer. Kevin Durant had 29, Steph Curry had 22, Klay Thompson had 23. Okay, that was the breakdown. As Albert said, that was awful. Rob Iman says maybe package Draymond to Chicago for Robin Lopez, who's a good defender. Based on one play, let's just let things play out. You know, see what happens. I'm, for one, am not for trading a person that's part of the Hampton Five. And that's, Rob Iman, what you're talking about doing. I think that's crazy. You know, what you want to do is you want to make the Hampton Five the Hampton Six. Like LeBron. Can you imagine the Warriors bringing LeBron James on? Okay. Rob Iman says they need a true center. Benzman says Green is the toughness on the team. They're Anthony Mason. I would not trade him. I agree with Joseph Benzman. Draymond Green, you don't trade a Draymond Green. You don't. You don't rip out your locker room heart. You don't. Okay. It's a grueling series. And the NBA, in its infinite wisdom, wants them now to go every other night for ratings rather than spacing them out. Okay. Desmond says Rockets versus Celtics in the final. I'm not watching. If it happens to be that, it's like, yeah, what? Forget it. Rob Ivan says maybe package Thompson for Lopez. I mean, look, no one wants to see the Rockets and the Celtics. You want to see the Warriors and somebody. You want to see the Warriors and the Cavs. Or you want to see the Warriors and the Celtics. But you don't want to see the Rockets. You don't want to see the Rockets, okay? Dexman says, oh, come on. You know I'm right. You're going to tell me that the Rockets are going to draw better ratings than the Warriors? No, because it sucks. Because why not? It sucks. The idea is, well, come on, it's terrible. Awful. I mean, just, yeah, you know? No, I'm not forgetting ratings. Ratings are a reflection of what the public wants to see. They just are. John Mark says Warriors versus Celtics in the finals. That would be fun. Warriors Cavs again would be fun. Okay. Warriors Cavs, and then you get LeBron over from the Cavs. You slide him over to, you know, the Warriors. Hey, by the way, welcome to Zenny62 on YouTube. Glad you can join the live stream. Chime in. Dexman 817 wants a 1986 rematch. Ooh. What you want, Dexon? I know what you want. What you want to see is Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon somehow spiritually, you know, get a ring again, right? That's what you want to see. Okay, I get you. Hey, I got nothing but love for Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. Always one of my favorite players. In fact, so is former Sacramento Mayor Kevin Johnson and former fellow Cal alum like myself. I know Kevin personally. And give him a call. Ooh, hey, that's who I should get on my live stream. Kevin Johnson. That would be a ton of fun. Kevin Johnson. But I digress. Now, Dexmas, you're tired of Warriors Cavs. You want a different matchup. So are you saying that there's like this Warriors Cavs fatigue? It's like, oh, them again? Really? Why do I not sense that? Why is it that I feel like there's this energy to see Warriors? Wait, Dexman, where do you live? Let's get this out of the way. Where do you live? And John Mark says, I remember Hakeem. And wait, Dexman lives in Dallas. Dude, you got the Mavericks. Okay, I get it. You got the Mavericks. I understand why. Okay. Crawford says Kevin Johnson nearly got Hakeem's career with a poster dunk. Yeah, that was huge. I remember that. I was like, yeah, that was hilarious. He dunked over his head. Corey Neese says, I'm a Cavs fan and I want to see Rockets play Cavs. Bob Iman says maybe bring back the NBA on CBS. Corey Nelson says tired of Warriors. Corey Neese, excuse me, says tired of Warriors Cavs series. Dexman says laugh out loud. Why do I get the feeling that Dexman is actually controlling like 4 accounts at once, and he's like going back and forth. He's rushing from one computer to the other. He's got this computer, got this going, right? He's going back and forth. Not fast enough, pal. Just kidding. Anyway, okay. So Joseph Biss says NBA on NBC was the best. Can't beat that music. Oh, you mean all right, who is the composer of it? Don't go to your search. John Tesh. Enough. All right. You should know that. Should come. It's like, boom. You should come right up with that. Not Tesh. John Tesh. Joseph Binsman spelled out. So did Rob Iman. Round Rock. Right. I'm just getting after you guys. You guys are pretty good on the draw. Crawford says, am I still following Michael Jordan? Laugh out loud. Yeah. So it looks like the shifting gears to the Raiders and the situation over there, it looks like, among other things, I am told by 2 sources in Oakland City Hall that a lawsuit is close. Okay. I don't know if close means next week or next month, but I know that 2 people on separate occasions who are very well placed in Oakland City Hall have told me that they're leaning toward filing a lawsuit. Okay. That's what I know. The most recent bit of information on that came today. And I wrote a piece that points to that, which is at Oakland News Online. Okay. It's at Oakland News, my newest blog, Oakland News Now. I have a blog called Oakland News Online, Oakland News Now. All right. But Oakland News Now, if you go to Oakland News Now, you'll see my newest information, newest news. Okay. In fact, it's up. And I'll show you the headline that I wrote. You can read it. It's on Google News. It's with Oakland poised to sue the Raiders for relocating to Las Vegas. Can they go after? Can they get an NFL draft, right? NFL draft, right? Okay. With Oakland poised to sue the Raiders for relocating to Las Vegas, is an NFL draft possible? Or if you want to find it, you can also just go to Google and you can search my name is Zinni Abraham like this, right, and find it. So have a look. Okay, here, see this? See, it says with Oakland poised to sue the Raiders. This is Google News, okay? With Oakland poised to sue the Raiders for relocating Las Vegas. All right, that's me. So you want to read it? All you have to do is click on it, and there's the news. For my newest blog, I'm very and look at that. Who's that? For my newest blog, Oakland News Now. Oakland News Now. I'm very proud of my new blog. I don't know if you've seen it before. This is my 98th blog, but there's the new article in all of its glory. If I do say so myself, I'm very proud of it. There's the information that I broke. Complete with who's that? That's Peter O'Reilly, right? You say, who's Peter O'Reilly, right? Peter O'Reilly is the Senior Vice President of Special Events for the National, as Chris Berman would say at ESPN, the National Football League, right? Yeah, the National Football League. Okay, that's him. Now, what was I doing there? I was at the NFL Spring League meeting, and here, this is what we're talking about.
Market size always a factor, but not necessarily a driving factor in this decision, given the power of Nashville as a destination market.
Hey, Peter, I'm curious, even though
the
transition between Oakland and Las Vegas, could Oakland still bid for a draft or partner with San Francisco?
Yeah, there's certainly an openness there to, we will go out to all cities again this summer for an expression of interest. Clearly, the Raiders are focused on Las Vegas as a potential draft destination, and we're working with them on that. But nothing is off the table in terms of where the draft might go down the line.
Follow-up, if I can get a quick follow-up in respect to Las Vegas and the Super Bowl. Is there an issue with parking? What's the what would you like to see out of Las Vegas with respect to Super Bowl presentation, if you will?
I think it's too early to talk about any of those specifics because we really haven't started any process for Super Bowls 59 or beyond. The focus here is really on 57 and 58, and the only work we've done to date with Las Vegas has been related to the draft.
Okay, so all right, so there's the news. Basically, Oakland can, if it chooses to do so. Oops, excuse me. And I think that it should choose to do so myself. If I do say so myself, I believe Oakland should file to host, the NFL draft. And I think it would be a fun thing to do. I think that Oakland would win. I did say that. I think Oakland would win. I really do. And economic development in Oakland is basically dead. I'm not going to go off on a rant. I'm saying we don't file and we don't try to attract stuff like that, like we used to. Come on. Okay. So, as Corey Brown says, I don't think the current Oakland leadership has it in them to pursue anything sports-wise. I don't think they have them in them to pursue anything. Okay. Barry says, Zinni, if the suit is filed, I wonder if it would make the Raiders in the NFL nervous. Have to see. I think, no one likes a lawsuit. Crawford, let's see here. Okay. I'm going to say something. Desmond says Marv Albert, Steve Snapper, Jones, and Bill Walton. And John Mark says Oakland is suing the Raiders. We'll see. I think it is a matter of when. It just seems like it's around the corner. Peter O'Reilly is a good friend of mine. Okay. He's a man. He is the fourth person in NFL history to serve in the role of Mr. Super Bowl. He is a Mensch. If you know any of your Yiddish, you know what that means. He's a person I was first introduced to by my friend Bill Chakas. We were friends at covering the NFL draft, and he said, this guy's a marketing genius. He's going to go far in the NFL. He introduced me. He says, you got to meet him. His name is Peter O'Reilly. And so I met Peter. I believe this was 2012, if memory serves, okay? And Peter had the ever-present backpack, and they sort of he traded the backpack for a suit, all right? And he took over for the legendary Frank Sapovitz starting in 2014, and spearheaded a different approach the NFL used with respect to preparing its big events. He really stewarded this new phase of the NFL draft where it's being trucked around the country. But what I like about Peter, if you type Peter O'Reilly in Google, you can find my conversations with him. He's never, once he refused to interview because I think it was I caught him when he was busy, and that was one of the things where, hey, Peter, you got time? He goes, well, Zinni, I don't right now. Okay, cool. But when he always has time, he stops and talks. he asked me about, my mom's, how she's doing. He represents the NFL culture as I know it, which is everyone is professionally nice, courteous, and caring almost to a fault. Okay. And on top of all that, they're experts at what they do. His predecessor, Frank Sapovitz, who I've got to call, Frank, supposed to follow up there. For his predecessor, Frank Sapovitz, same kind of guy. His Frank Sapovitz's predecessor, Jim Steig, same guy. And all very good. I think the difference between, and then I didn't get a chance to meet Jim Steig's predecessor, who was really the first, Jim, whose name just flew out of my head, but he was really the first Mr. Super Bowl. Don Weiss, excuse me, not Jim, Don Weiss was really the first Mr. Super Bowl for the NFL. So I hold a special place in my mind for Peter and for Frank and for Jim Steig. Okay. And you have to remember that, well, maybe you don't know this, all right, is simply that you probably don't know this, but they are kind of, I had to work with particularly Jim Steig on the Super Bowl bid, and they have respect for me as a person who single-handedly formed Oakland Super Bowl bid. I mean, I did everything from the drawings to, I did stuff that really I shouldn't have had to do, but I was really determined to take the city over the finish line. And Steig worked with me to do that, or try to. And Frank Sapovitz and Peter O'Reilly have had the greatest respect for me for doing that to this year, to this day. Remember, that interview happened on a Wednesday. And then he gave me another interview, one-on-one, which I thought was fantastic. So this helps my business, all right? So tremendously. So please, I really defend the National Football League. I do. And, we can have a long conversation about that. But I feel, this goes to the national anthem issue, that there's a set of owners that don't realize the power of the NFL themselves, and should, over the president of the United States. Okay? And they let the president pump them. It's another subject. All right. Okay, so let me go back, and I'm missing your comments for the most part. And so we've got let's see here. Corey Brown says, I don't think current Oakland leadership has it in to pursue anything sports-wise, and I answered that one. And hey, I'm Malcontent. Malcontent says, hi there, Z. It's interesting that the city is, quote, finally, unquote, considering litigation against the Raiders. Has anyone from the county said if they're also ready to participate in a lawsuit? I haven't heard that. No, this is the way it's going to go, as I understand it, that the city, it's not going to be the city going on alone. It's going to be a group of attorneys fighting on behalf of the city. Okay. The attorneys are going to take on the weight. The city has to spend nothing. All right. Now, I have to believe that the attorneys have some type of litigation finance behind them to move them forward, as I tried to get done last year. That would be obvious. But it's going to be the city. The county, as I understand it, would be sort of, friend. I'm not certain. I'm only speculating. Okay. But I do know that the county was more willing to leave it to the city as the driver, or to be the driver in this. That's what I have gotten thus far. All right. Tom Keller says, but as far as I know, the Raiders didn't sign the lease extension with Oakland for the 2020-2019 season yet, right? You mean 2020, Tom? The extension will be not for 18 and 19, because remember, right now, it wouldn't be for just 19. It would be for 18 and 19. It'd be for 19 and 18. No, Jesus, Zenny. It'd be for 19 and 20. Okay. Hey, welcome to Zenny 62. It'd be for those 2 years. It would be basically 19 with an option for 20, as I understand it. Okay, so and John Marks wants Barbecue Becky to go to work in Vegas for the Barbecue Patrol. Maybe that's a nod to the culinary strike. I'll get to that in a second. Tom Curler says, I can't imagine the Raiders extend their lease for the 2019 season after a lawsuit. But what the fuck are they going to do? It's amazing how the public, this has gone on for like over a generation of my being involved in this, assumes that if you are in a lawsuit against a party like the NFL, that you're not going to do business with them at all. In my case, it was, well, the NFL isn't going to let you bid on the Super Bowl because you're involved in a lawsuit against the Raiders. No, it's not what happened. Okay. In fact, not only did we submit a bid, we got pretty close to almost doggone winning the thing. We were one of 3 finalists. Oakland, Jacksonville, Miami. That was the triumvirate. Jacksonville won on the 3rd ballot, dang it. But no. So lawsuits filed. Does that affect where the Raiders play? No. The Raiders are not going to say, okay, we're not going to play here because they got nowhere else to play. All right? That's where it shapes up. You've got one negotiation and the other. You don't say, okay, we're suing you and therefore you don't play. Technically, that's somebody else's lawsuit. Technically, if you want to be, honest about it. It's not the JPA's lawsuit. The JPA is basically, under the city in a sense, but it's also under the county. It's a separate entity. The JPA is not initiating this lawsuit. So it essentially leaves the JPA free to do what it needs to do to operate its business. Got it? So, all right. So, see here. And Corey Brown says, has there ever been a franchise this far into relocation and then either side backed out? Yeah, Irwindale. Well, this far, because they weren't building stadium. No, the answer is no. Crawford says the Giants almost moved to Tampa Bay. Corey, that's SF. Yeah, but what he's saying, Corey, is saying is completely different. There's no comparison. Because the Giants weren't in the midst of building a stadium in Tampa. And I think a better example is the Raiders in Irwindale, because they got $10 million from the city of Irwindale before they did anything. And they didn't give it back. That was stupid. Just was. Barry Lee says, at this point, Zany, do you believe it would be a suit for monetary damages or something else? Oh, definitely monetary damages. That's the easiest deal. I know, I was having a conversation about this with Jason Cole, and he at the Spring League meeting, and he insisted that it was better for the city to try for the image. And I said, no, not really, because it's not winnable. He goes, yeah, but it makes sense. I said, yeah, well, that's not winnable. Why am I gonna file a lawsuit I can't win? Or I think it's difficult to win? Now, the way you get there is you back your way into it. You say, all right, I'm going to sue for monetary damages. You win the lawsuit, you start counting up the damages, and you turn around and during the settlement process say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'd like the entire Raider image. That's how you get there. Okay? That's how you get there. But to just sue for the image is not the way to get there in my mind, because the Raiders were not just the Oakland Raiders, they were the LA Raiders. So why can't LA get a piece of that? How do you parse that? It's not making the argument, well, they came back. Okay, I hear you, but they were someplace else as the Raiders for, a fair number of years, right? 82 to 2000, from 82 to 94. 95, they moved. That's a big chunk of years. It's not the whole history of the Raiders. I would have preferred to be half that, then you'd have a point. And they came back for a reason, because they weren't winning in LA. The Oakland mystique wasn't there, because it's not Oakland, it's LA. So I would see there's a clear, specific problem related to monetary damages that's laid out in Oakland. Gives Oakland the unique position of being of having to, how do I say it? If you take the whole disgorgement argument, which is basically raised by the attorneys, they're saying, hey, look, the NFL enriched themselves from a profit perspective off of a relocation that was done in a way that was against good faith, right? Now, that's the current relocation fee of $370 million. But then there's the $64 million non-recourse, what's called non-recourse loan, but it's really a payment that we gave to the Raiders that ballooned and was supposed to be distributed to their NFL teams. Basically, it looks just like another relocation fee. So we have, if you take what that is ballooned to, which is about $218 million, plus the $370 million relocation fee, you're looking at almost $600 million in damages that you can claim from that alone, not including anything else like, bad business practices or whatever. Okay. But those are concrete. The image thing, that's if pie in the sky. Okay. I don't know. Doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. Okay. Crawford says, I believe in Jim Quinn and his legal team. Crawford, I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. Nothing against Jim Quinn, but he is not the Lord Jesus Christ. Barry Lee says, hey, Zinni, did you get any feedback from your bid back from the NFL after the decision was announced? Yeah, I did. And I'll explain that after I get to Malcontent's comment. Malcontent says, Barry Lee, I think a City of Oakland lawsuit would be for monetary damages. I don't think they really have any other claim that the court would take seriously. I agree. Now, to answer your question, Barry Lee, yeah, I can tell you exactly what the problem was. And I knew what the outcome might be. I was just, given where we were, I was surprised that we did as well as we did in terms of the voting. We were 8 votes shy of what we needed. What happened was that, well, several things. We only had enough hotel room contracts for 7,815 rooms. We needed hotel room contracts equaling 17,000 rooms. I got a last-minute faxed letter from the head of the Santa Clara County Convention and Visitors Bureau committing that region and that Convention and Visitors Bureau to 15,000 hotel rooms. Why that wasn't counted, I don't know, because when I was told as the final outcome, that's the word that I got back. The other issue was the budget. At the time, what I developed would have been, had we won the most expensive Super Bowl in NFL history I had budgeted $22.9 million, but I think, if you factor in the expected cost overruns, you're looking at $25 million, which is unheard of today. I mean, look, today, the budget for the host committee alone is about 25 to 40 million. Okay, alone. Now, in my day, the budget for the host committee was about 5 million. Okay, that's how much things have changed. We didn't have, at the time, we also didn't need a large number of corporate donations. We need them. What hurt, really, beyond anything else, was that then Oakland mayor and now California governor Jerry Brown basically was the person that could really have put forth a better effort for us. If Jerry had decided that he wanted to win the Super Bowl bid, the 2005 Super Bowl would have been in Oakland, not Jacksonville. as it was, Jerry came in at the last minute when he realized I was getting press. And I mean, worldwide press for Oakland. In fact, at that time, we were in a lawsuit with the Raiders. We were, I believe, in legal straits with the Warriors. There was no positive news coming out of the Coliseum, save for one thing, and that's what I was doing. So on October 19th of 2000, when the Oakland Coliseum Joint Powers Authority took a vote of no action on my Super Bowl bid, Ignacio de la Fuente, who was then the president of the council, gave me a ride back to my office at City Hall, and I was fuming because he said on the dais they had a meeting of CEOs, the Splinter CEO group, and they couldn't understand or see how I could get sponsorship money for the plan that I came up with, which included, I thought, an innovative way of using sheathing where you know the sheathing you have on buses. I've said this before, I'll say it again, where you put the logo on it. You'd be able to buy the entire east side of the Coliseum, all the suites on that side, which I believe amount to 30. Oh, no, not 30, but all the suites on that side, it's more than 30, but all the suites on that side, you would have been able to buy it for $30 million. Boom. Okay. That one specific buy would have bought our Super Bowl cost. One corporation buying that would have bought our Super Bowl cost. Now, lest you say that's really expensive, think about what it costs even then to buy a Super Bowl commercial for a minute, right? So you're buying that to put your logo up there. Boom. Boom. I have to get NFL approval, of course. And we would have gotten a lot of bids from people who want to do ambush marketing, which I know the league would reject. But there are also categories we wouldn't have been able to fit in that would not have been covered by the league's range of categories at the time. I was very excited to have a go at that. And one of the people who really loved the idea was the then head of Visa Global Sponsorships, Mike Lynch. On the 25th of August in 1999, I got on a flight coming back from my Super Bowl workshop in New York. And I got on the flight, United flight, of course. And of all the people in my row and coach, the guy sitting over here who was tying his shoe was Mike Lynch of Visa. And I couldn't believe it. I looked over and I went, "Hey, Mike, it's Zenny. Zenny, what are you doing on here?" I said, "Hey, I got a question for you." And I told him about it. He goes, "It's great." Basically, I could have gotten Visa to buy that. Okay? I could have got Visa to buy that. But Oakland never gave me the chance because Oakland doesn't believe it can do anything great. That's Oakland's problem. And it's been Oakland's problem for over a generation. And counting. Okay? So, all right. So, that answers your question, I think, Barry. But in terms of what happened, and the legacy left the city, I think it is something that, as Jim Steek said to me, I showed Oakland, I gave them a taste of what it was like to bid for a large project. I mean, really large. We got the NBA All-Star game, but that was in part the Warriors because the Warriors built their stadium. The Raiders gave me a lot of behind the scenes help. I'll be honest, okay? Amy Trask cast the vote in our favor. She could have not done that. But Amy, I thank to this day for that. So I really do. So as Barry says, I answered it. I did. So there it is. Now, let's get to, I keep going on these trips down memory lane, but let's get to the current and let's get to this whole issue about the culinary workers strike, right? And let's see here. It's like UNLV is going to get a new president. And California couple. Oh, Las Vegas strike. Chaos. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, boy. Oh gosh. I won't mention that one. But let's see here. Oh, a Las Vegas strike would have a sweeping effect, experts say. Vote Tuesday, May 22nd. Show up. So it says what happens in Vegas could have a ripple effect across the country. If members of the union don't show up for work, yeah, here it says that what happens in Vegas could have a ripple effect across the country if 50,000 casino hotel workers employed at more than 30 of the city's resorts go on strike at any time starting next week. If members of the union, that includes hotel and food workers, don't show up for work, it could cost the destination millions and lead to travel woes for anyone taking a vacation on a business trip in Las Vegas. It could also send casinos looking for temporary workers and amid low unemployment rates. It would lead to a lot of cancellations. I'll tell you how it's going to affect the Raiders situation. It would lead to a lot of cancellations of hotel room bookings, which would lead to a decrease in whatever the total would be for that period of time for hotel room revenues, which would lead to a decrease, of course, in stadium hotel tax revenues to the Raiders, because now the Raiders are collecting it directly, okay, for the stadium. Now, that would impact yet another month. The next question would be, how long would the strike go on for? If it goes on for 1 day, it's a blip. If it goes on for 2 days, it's a bigger blip. If it goes on for 3 days, you got a problem. Going on for 4 days, you got a problem. 5 days, you got a problem. 6 days, you got a big problem. Because that's a week. Okay? That's a week. That's 1/4 of the month. If it goes on for the entire month, you got a gigantic problem. That's like, whoop, all right? That's basically like almost effectively taking a month away from your already low returns on stadium revenue, tax revenue for the hotel tax, from the hotel tax, stadium hotel tax, okay? Now, it's one more hit. And see, it wouldn't matter. Let's say, because I don't know, that without that, maybe you see the first month in 10 months where tourism is improved and maybe visitor rates are better than they were the year before for that month, maybe. But with the strike, what the strike points to is the possibility that we're going to have an 11th month of lower than the year before visitation. Okay. That's why I said in a comment, I said, this seems like another act of God against the Raiders stadium. What do I mean? Okay. The first act of God was 1 October, right? The second act of God was just the structural change in and of itself in the economy of Las Vegas and the timing of all these events taking place, the growth of Macau and China, the growth in the number of states that have casino operations. Then, of course, we have the Supreme Court's decision with respect to sports betting, which makes everybody else, every other city, basically in competition with Las Vegas, right? Okay. Then, okay, we had that. Then we had this. So that's basically 3, I call them acts of God, because you didn't anticipate that they were going to happen. Someone said, well, the reason why, a number of people said to me, well, the reason why the hotel visitation rates are low is 1 October. Well, no, it's not, because the problem started last June. It didn't start last October. Check the stats for yourself. So the Raiders could not have picked, well, no, they could not have picked the worst situation. Now you would say a recession. Yeah, I mean, but generally it's long term, and you can see that. No, even then it could still happen, right? It's like, what's next? Well, we've got all these other things going. We've got you have declining visitation rates, which are normally associated with what? A recession. But there is no recession. So what if there is a recession? Ooh. Okay. So what's the bottom line? It means the taxpayers end up holding the weight of the bond issue. That's what it means. It means that spending for education is more threatened. Clark County has a deficit. School district. Twice. Last fall and now. Okay, so let's see what the review, or let me get your comments and then go back and see what the Review Journal says. And John Mark says, how does a recession get started? A recession gets started when you have negative growth. It works like this. You have prosperity, which is a growth in gross domestic product or gross national product. Like, doesn't matter if it's 2% growth, 3%, 0.5 of 1%, it's growth, okay? Prosperity, right? Then you have recession, is you have a decrease in growth in the rate of, you have a declining situation when the rate of growth is decreasing. And then the recession is going down. It's recessing. Prosperity, recession, depression is when the rate of growth is negative. Negative. It's actually going whoop. Okay. It's depressing. Okay. So we're not there. We're not there. And John Mark says you were 23 in 1992. Yeah. So anyway, that's how that starts. Okay. It is 1:54, almost 2. I'm going to have to get going very soon for family reasons. So let me do this. I should get going now because of some things I've got to do. So Sunday, I will be back. Okay. Tom Coa says, the whole Vegas move is such a mistake, and we knew this from the beginning. The money will dry out before the stadium is built. Hey, have a good night to you, everybody. Thanks, Barry Lee. Thank you. Love, peace, and soul, Crawford. Thank you. And be back Sunday night. We can talk Cavs, right? Got a lot to talk about. Warriors, Cavs, stuff. As John Mark says, it's going to be a stone gas, honey. But I watch horror films. Keep America Strong, and Solos tomorrow night. Take a look. Like I said, go to Google News and type Zenny Abraham. You can read my newest post about the Oakland lawsuit and the NFL draft, all right? And by the way, if you haven't done so, watch horror films and keep America strong, and subscribe to Zenny62 and hit the bell notification. Ding, so you can get the updates. All right. Good night, everybody. I'm going to type in here. And good night. Thanks, everybody. See ya.